shredding. Today we're going over how to shred using string skipping. So the idea for today's video actually comes from a personal struggle of mine with string skipping. I could never really pinpoint exactly where my issue was within my hand synchronization. It always felt like my right hand just couldn't keep up with my left hand, therefore I could never really play these runs cleanly. And as it turns out, for me, the issue was all on my right hand, and today I'm going to show you all the tricks that I've gathered and how we can clean up our string skipping playing. So before we dive into the tablature and the technique, I want to show you that there are 3 different ways that we can actually play this string skipping sequence. So the first method of playing this is actually alternate picking, or mostly alternate picking. The second method would be hybrid picking, and the third method is actually no pick at all. See if you can spot the difference between all 3, but pay attention to mostly the picking hand here. So something else to keep in mind here is your right hand. You want to make sure it's very relaxed as you're bracing the strings while also creating a slanted edge versus a flat pick, which is going to create a lot more resistance, creating a lot more energy going from string to string. Here's a flat pick example. While that may sound okay, it's definitely creating a lot more stress on my wrist and in my forearm. Here's the slanted pick. A lot more comfortable. So one of the main attractions that I have to string skipping is the fact that it gives you a lot of freedom to widen out your intervallic range here. You're able to do things that are more expressive and characteristic of, let's say, a piano or even a saxophone, for example. So one of the things that I love so much about the sequence is the fact that it's outlining an E Lydian mode, focusing primarily on 4 different chords, and we're arpeggiating those chords with the help of string skipping. The first chord is going to be a C sharp minor 9. Next is an A sharp diminished, then an E major 9, and lastly the B major 7. So once you start to combine the arpeggios of the chords mixed with the other colorful notes of the E Lydian scale, you start to see the magic of string skipping. So what really helped me understand this sequence and to be able to play it cleanly and efficiently was by playing it bar by bar. This really helps you understand how it works rhythmically and where the separation is from the tapping part going back into the string skipping. So what you will notice throughout the entire lick is that I'm not exactly alternate picking the entire time, and that's specifically because the goal is to stay outside picking rather than inside picking. The outside picking is going to be doing something like this, staying on the outside, like a down and then an up versus an up and then a down. I have a lot more picking efficiency when I do it the other way around, so there's many things that I'm doing between slides and other different variations that I'm trying to avoid that inside playing. So sometimes I'm doubling up on some of the downstrokes, and sometimes I'm doing an economy picking type of thing, and I'll go into that in maybe a different video, but you can at least see what I'm doing right here. So again, I will be sharing the tab with you right here, and I'm going to be going over the first bar with you right now. Alright, and for bar number 2, now what you will notice at the end of bar 2 is that there is a 16th note triplet there, and that is going to provide a good segue into the 8th note triplet of bar 3. Now the tapping has only one purpose within this entire sequence, and that is to confuse the right hand, to go from tapping right back into the string skipping. It enables you to develop that muscle memory and to be able to adapt really well on the fly. And then there's bar number 4, which is the same thing as bar number 2. Now onto the hybrid picking portion of this exercise, which is one of the great things that I love so much about it, is that you're able to play it with so many different techniques and you're able to brush up on all the techniques with this one little exercise. Now I will be making another video that focuses on the fundamentals of hybrid picking, but for the purpose of today's video, we're just going to keep it short, simple, and sweet, and I'm going to go over the basics with you. So for those of you that don't know, hybrid picking is simply just a technique that involves picking with a pick, while also alternatively picking with one or more fingers. And earlier we discussed that string skipping outside picking. And all we're doing is doing that same downstroke with that first strike and then plucking upwards with your middle finger or any finger that you choose. And for today's video, this is how I'm going to be playing it. So as you can see, we're combining both normal alternate picking or economy picking with hybrid picking at that rate. And this brings me to the last technique of being able to play the string skipping sequence, and that is with your bare hand. I have become a lot more of a fingerstyle player as of recently, and I can say that the hardest part is by muting the strings, because you have to contort your hand in such a way where you're not providing any of those weird harmonic sounds. Now what I tend to do is I tend to keep my wrist and my palms locked so that I can actually control the expression like this. Now while it is always good to practice exercises and develop our chops, it's also good to hear what an exercise would sound like in a musical setting. Alright guys and gals, that concludes today's video on the best way to learn string skipping. If you found any value from today's video, make sure to like, comment, and definitely subscribe so you're not missing out on any of the future guitar hacks. I have an absolute blast making these videos and I can't wait to show you guys the next one. If you want to connect with me, feel free to send me a DM on the socials, and if you have any ideas or any topics that you want me to go over, please feel free to let me know. Until next time. String skipping sequence. The string skipping sequence. String skipping sequence. Say that 3 times fast. Gotta be kidding me.